Howdy, and welcome to the Lost Rider podcast. It's an honor and privilege to address you in the capacity of an interviewer, reporter, and media member. Too many modern media outlets have forgone the integrity and responsibility required of credible information sources. What you will receive here are straightforward discussions with legislators, agency leaders, biologists, engineers, doctors, and countless other experts that have the answers to questions often circulated as kitchen table issues. The title Lost Rider may be thought of literally as well as in the metaphorical sense. While there has been the instance that I was momentarily a little turned around at night in a wilderness area, the idea of being a lost rider in life, well, that fits most folks at some time. These renderings are coming to you in the form of the 25-year-old radio program, The News from the Camp House. It still airs every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time on KULM 98.3 FM out of Columbus, Texas. The original intent was to relate outdoor topics to the general public. Immediately, it was found that all issues are relatable to the outdoors and that people are people. They all play a role and they all have a vested interest. It's this program's desire to answer common questions about how the world works, how it will operate in the future, and what's the holdup. So please listen, enjoy, and never hesitate to contact us with more questions and feedback. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, the listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune, and this weekend's edition is also brought to us by Shaw's Men's Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. All right, tell you what, we got a special guest with us this weekend. I'm scared to take a shot at this name. Froylan?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so Froylan.
Yes.
Yeah, Froylan Hernandez.
Okay. Yeah, see, I'm not gonna get the accent in there. Yeah, Froylan. Okay. And okay, where are you from?
And so I'm out of Alpine.
Okay.
Alpine, out in the Big Bend part of Texas.
Yes, sir. All right. Now, you work full-time for the Bighorn Society?
Well, no, so I am the Desert Bighorn Sheep Program Leader for Texas Parks and Wildlife. And so we work hand in hand with the Texas Bighorn Society.
There you go. Okay. You came to one of our conferences in Corpus and did a presentation.
That was outdoor, right? Yep. So that was Texas Outdoor Riders Association, and so that was several years back, and I'm still doing what I was doing back then.
All right. Okay, that's great. Okay, so you're with Parks and Wildlife.
I am. I'm the Desert Bighorn Sheep Program Leader for Texas Parks and Wildlife. What that means is, I guess I'm charged with management and restoration of desert bighorns in Texas. Okay,
first off, for my listeners, because quite a bit of my listening area is, okay, so they're not, maybe won't know exactly the geographic area that bighorns, I mean, they say Big Bend, they say West Texas, they say, but what is the actual geographic area for Texas bighorns in Texas, desert bighorns in Texas?
So the actual, I guess their home range or geographic range covers from west of the Pecos River all the way to El Paso, but specifically the mountains that are south of Alpine in the Big Bend area, right. The Big Bend National Park, all the way up through the border up to El Paso.
Okay. All right. One of the ongoing deals, one of the things that's just ongoing with Texas bighorns forever and ever. And how long have you been with them?
So I've been with Texas Parks and Wildlife 20 years.
Okay. Am I incorrect? Because, I mean, it's been a trial trying to keep these sheep going, hasn't it?
Well, it really has. And so I guess the native desert bighorn sheep were found here in West Texas in the Trans-Pecos Mountains till the 1960s. And in the 1960s, in fact, 1961, October of 1961, the last native Texas desert bighorn was spotted north of Van Horn in the Sierra Diablo Mountains. We lost them in the early 60s, and we lost them to a disease, a bacteria that's carried by domestic sheep and goats.
Right.
And so it was disease, and it was over exploitation or over hunting and those kinds of things. We brought them back through restoration efforts, and up until about 5 or 6 years ago, we were sitting pretty. We didn't have disease in the population. The bighorns were doing well. We were back up to 1880 levels, so everything was peachy. And then we had a disease event in one mountain range, and then about 2-3 months later in another, and a year later in another. So right now, disease is plaguing our bighorn population in Texas, and we had about 1,700 desert bighorns 3 or 4 years ago. Now we're down to half, to about 600 or 700 because of that disease.
Okay. Where'd that come from?
So we're still trying to figure out where the bacteria or that disease came from. Every time we conduct samples, tissue samples, we always try and strain type. And that strain typing, what it is, it essentially tells us what bacteria it is and where it may have come from. So we've narrowed it down. We have found a domestic goat strain, a domestic sheep strain, and a novel Aoudad strain.
So there's possibility that they got this from the Aoudad.
Yep, absolutely. There's that possibility. We've been able to demonstrate that the Aoudad are able to transmit that bacteria or that disease in a pen setting. Mm-hmm. And we haven't been able to demonstrate that in a while, but more than likely it's occurring.
All right, so a bright idea would be to get rid of the Aoudad.
Well, it would. And if I had a magic wand, I think that'd be the simplest way to do it, is just wave it and the Aoudad be gone kind of deal. But the fact is that the Aoudad are here to stay. They're here to stay because there's just a whole lot of them out there. And then there's landowners that want them because they make money off of them, off of hunts and whatnot. Okay. So Aoudad are here to stay. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the question. Wouldn't the landowner have more vested interest in propagating desert bighorns if they wouldn't be more valuable than Aoudad?
When you're looking at it from one animal and another, just one Aoudad and one bighorn, it's more profitable when you're looking at it from a hunter perspective, from just one single animal. But the thing about Aoudad is they're an exotic species from the Barbary Coast of Africa, and so they're not regulated by the department. And so meaning a landowner can hunt as many as they want, whenever they want, however many they want. And so if a landowner is hunting an Aoudad on a one-on-one basis, one Aoudad hunt on average $5,000-$7,000 to hunt. A bighorn to hunt a bighorn on private property, you're probably looking $50,000-$60,000. So 1-to-1, it doesn't make sense. But when a landowner can hunt 10, 12, 20 Aoudad and at $7,000 a pop, it easily or quickly.
I see that. Yeah. I didn't realize that people paid that much to shoot an Aoudad, and that there were that many Aoudad hunters.
Well, and so Aoudad hunting is growing in popularity. Years back, you might ask someone, "Can I go hunting on your property?" Yeah, pay me $300, $400, whatever it was. Right. And you can go on because there was that many Aoudad, and it's growing in popularity. And there's a lot more people wanting to hunt Aoudad now because it's easier access. It doesn't cost as much if you're going on private property. So it quickly becomes just a financial game. Right.
Okay, yeah. I just didn't realize that Aoudad were that popular. I've always looked at them like they're a scourge. Similar. I know out there in that country, y'all don't like to talk about the wild donkeys. Yeah. I know y'all don't even like to talk about those things.
Yeah. Well, and so we had issues with that several years back, but the issue we have with the Aoudad is There's just too many of them. Not from a disease perspective, that's an issue. But when you look at it from how do they impact other native species, whether it's mule deer, whether it's pronghorn, and now we're looking at how does it impact the range for livestock, and then looking at it from just a habitat perspective, because there are too many, and you're talking about an arid environment, not very resilient. So once you knock that habitat down, it takes years and years for it to recover. And when you have 30,000 audad on the landscape, the problem grows very, very quickly.
And they're that prolific.
They are. They're a very, very prolific species. In comparison to bighorns, one bighorn ewe matures slower than an audad ewe. And so, I guess one audad ewe matures younger, is able to breed at a much younger age. A bighorn ewe, you're probably looking at 2-3 years before she's really productive, versus an audad ewe, first year she's able to reproduce. Audad are also they twin most times. Bighorn ewe, one a year, and then audad seem to have 2 lambing seasons a year. And so bighorns 1 lamb a year. And so when you look at it from that perspective, one audad ewe, one bighorn ewe, one bighorn lamb once a year, versus one audad ewe, 4 lambs a year. And so they quickly reproduce. They're very, very hardy animal. I'll give them that.
Well, right. Okay. I'm just not an audad fan, but I'd much rather see desert bighorns where they belong. Is that the same reasoning? Because supposedly the desert bighorn population down in Mexico is doing okay.
And so Mexico completely, well, I wouldn't say completely different situation, but somewhat different situation when you're looking at it from an audad perspective. We flew the mountains in Mexico immediately south of the border, and we counted about 500 audad. We flew the mountains immediately to the north of there in Texas, and we counted 5,000 audad. So they don't have the audad issue yet. And we're working with the Mexican biologist because they recognize that if they don't get a handle on it, that they will be in the same situation that we find ourselves in now.
Huh. All right. Okay. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break and thank the folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning. We'll be right back. Thank goodness for all the great sponsors we have here at News from the Camp House. H-E-B Food Stores. That's Stephen Tice at H-E-B. He helps me. He helps the community. He's a great man. I'm so thankful H-E-B loosened him up, lets him go around and sponsor a few things. H-E-B's got all your food needs. It's the greatest food store we got here in Columbus. Thank goodness for H-E-B. First State Bank. You go over to the First State Bank, they'll take care of all your loans, all your deposits, your savings, anything you need. Bunch of great hometown people over there. You got Celia Tobias, John Pollock. Everybody over there is looking out for you. Miss Barbara Barta. It's a great bunch of folks at the First State Bank is also sponsoring News from the Camp House. First State Bank takes care of all my business. Baumgart Agency, Susan Baumgart at the Baumgart Agencies, her and Germania. She told me to plug Germania. Germania is an insurance that she likes to everybody to know about. The Baumgart Agencies. Miss Susan and I are classmates, being classmates. She got me out of high school, sat right beside her, put us in alphabetical order where I could copy. And Susan Baumgart over at the Baumgart Agency, taking care of all your insurance needs. Lyco Realty, one of the original sponsors of News from the Camp House. Lyco Realty, the oldest real estate company in the county, and for the last 3 years voted the favorite realtor in the county. Lyco Realty, that's Miss Kimberly Johnson. That's Crockett's granddaughter. More kinfolks and classmates and great people from Colorado County. People from Colorado County helping people from Colorado County. That's great. Oh, thank goodness for all these wonderful people come to me want to be sponsors for News from the Camp House. Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's News from the Camp House. We're here this morning with Texas Parks and Wildlife biologist. He's a leader in charge of the Desert Bighorn sheep restoration projects that are going on out in West Texas, Froylan Hernandez. And I've almost said it right.
No, you got it correct. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So, what's the plan? I mean, is there? What's the plan? How are we going to do this? How if the if desert bighorns declined all of a sudden because of this bacteria, pneumonia, and we think they caught it from the audads. What's the plan? I know y'all moved some over to the Franklin Mountains, and y'all are, trying to keep them in all the areas where they've always originally been. But, what's going on? How are we going to take care of this problem?
So the problem is a little bit complicated. It's complex because, again, all that occur in every mountain in West Texas. And further, we have sampled 13 mountain ranges in West Texas, and in every mountain range that we've sampled the aoudad, they've come back positive for that bacteria. So, that in itself is a huge challenge. We've got one disease-free population is pretty productive, and that population is at Elephant Mountain Wildlife Management Area. Elephant Mountain is just south of Alpine. And it's the only disease-free population we have. It's been very productive. So what next is to protect that population from contracting the disease or the bacteria, but then also to start a new disease-free, healthy population in the Franklins. And we hope and we expect the Franklin Mountains to be exactly that, because the Franklins are devoid of aoudad. There's not a single aoudad in the Franklins, so that's a plus. While it may not look like a great area, because obviously El Paso is all the way around the Franklins, that urban setting. It initially doesn't look like a great area, but it's great habitat. And if the aoudad have not made it in, that likely won't make it in. And so essentially it's a sanctuary.
It's an island.
Yeah, it's an island. It's a sanctuary for bighorns. And so that's next. Get another brew facility, quote unquote, a free-ranging brew facility, so where we can continue growing sheep and taking them to other mountain ranges. That's the first step. The second step, and this is very simplistically putting it, but the second step would be to continue the education part of it, that aoudad can be detrimental to the habitat, to the other native wildlife species, because they occur in great densities. And so the next step is to, again, the education aspect of it, but then let's thin the herd down a little bit. Mm-hmm. We don't want to get rid of them all, because we know landowners, ranchers make money off of them. And I get that, I respect that. But let's thin them down. Let's thin them down to a level that doesn't impact the habitat and doesn't detrimentally impact our native species.
All right. You also said something about the aoudad impacting the pronghorns and the mule deer.
Well, and so aoudad are what we call generalists, meaning they can use the landscape. They can use the rough stuff, they can use the rolling stuff, and they can use the flats. Mm-hmm. And bighorns are they're found in the rough stuff. Mule deer are found in rough stuff and rolling stuff in the rolling country, and then the pronghorn out in the flats. And so, because the aoudad use all of it, they're able to impact all species.
Are they all okay? Are the aoudad browsers?
Well, so that's just it. They're both browsers and grazers. They're able to switch back and forth. Bighorns, I guess, they're considered grazers. But up in the mountains, there's obviously not much grass, or there's less grass, I should say, and so they browse more times than not. But yeah, aoudad, they switch back and forth between browsers and grazers.
All right, what's now this might be starting to get technical, because I know there's been some talk about trying to figure out a vaccine, trying to figure out some way to take care of the desert bighorns so that this bacteria wouldn't kill them. I don't know how you do that. I mean, you would think that there would be some of the bighorns that would be immune to it, and that would eventually take over. But that has not been the case.
No, that has not been the case, and so there's researchers and biologists and scientists looking into the whole vaccine thing. And while some of it appears to be promising in terms of they are developing vaccines that might take care of the issue or the bacteria, that's been done in a penned setting, in a controlled environment. And so the animals in those pens, they're getting the proper dosages at the proper time, and the strains are essentially the same. Mm-hmm. When you look at it from a free-range setting, there's not only are there several strains out on the landscape, so you would need to develop a bacteria that would cover all those strains, but then also how do you apply that to or get the proper dosages to the wild animals,
right.
And so that's complicated.
How do you give all of them a shot?
How you give all of them a shot, the proper shot, the proper dose at the proper time. So in a free range setting, in theory it could be done, but in practicality it's almost impossible.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that makes that's understandable. That makes sense. Okay, so if they rocked and rolled along for a while and we're doing okay, and then now all of a sudden we've got problems. Did Parks and Wildlife, cut back on tags, licenses, and all that?
Yes, we've cut back considerably. Years back, we were up to issuing 25, 30 tags a year, and while that may not seem like much in the bighorn world, particularly to Texas, that was a lot.
Huh.
And so we were issuing 25, 30 tags a year. The last 4 years, we probably issued 8 or 9.
Yeah.
In 3 years. And so, we've cut back on tags.
Good. No, that's, I think everybody would agree that that's a really good thing. Was there a antler, or it's not horns, it's not antlers, it's horns. Was 3/4 curl reg or anything like that?
No, so we don't have horn growth regulations. Some states do. You can't harvest an animal unless it's a 3/4 curl type animal. We don't. We stick to age. And so as long as it's a mature animal, and we're saying a mature animal is 8 years old or older, you can kind of tell that like anything else. You age them on the hoof. And so look at horn growth, look at body condition, look at the head, the belly, all those things, look at the coat. And so, that's what we go off of is age.
Huh. Okay. All right. You got to be able to, yeah. Well, we've told this in the past. Your sheep hunters are your elite hunters of North America. And usually they'll go get a bighorn, a doll, and a stone, and this desert's the last thing on their list. But by the time you've done this, they know what hard work's all about. And aging that's something new to me. Aging a sheep on the hoof. I'd have to think about that, and having to age one to 8 years old. I've done whitetails to 6, but, and worked on places where, we had to age whitetails to 6. But having to age a sheep to 8, you might have to look at a lot of sheep to find that one.
Well, and so it's like, like anything else, as you mentioned, when you first start, say, in the whitetail world, and you're new to that, and you don't know how to age a whitetail, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, whatever.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of practice and looking at things, and so the bighorn is no different. Looking at horns, counting the rings, being out there, and with time, anybody can do it. Really.
Oh, yeah.
All
right. No, I believe you. 100%. The boys that I guided with down in Mexico were so proud of themselves for being able to judge and grade deer. And then the FFA started having these wildlife teams, and I interviewed some of those high school kids. And later on, was back with those boys that were so proud of themselves down in Mexico, and I said, guys, there's high school kids that do the stuff we do.
Well, it is. Some people say it's an art, and I know there's some art to it. Mm-hmm. Aging an animal on the hoof, it's moving around, and with the bighorns anyway, you might be looking from a mile, 2 miles away through a scope that's hot. You got the heat waves, so it does become a little challenging. But again, once you do it enough, you might be off maybe a couple of months.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. No, that's great. That's great. Well, I love West Texas, and I love that country out there. So, and I think sheep hunting is just the biggest thing in the world. I've been on a couple of hunts. I think it's great. And I definitely would like to see desert bighorns do better. How far north? You got desert bighorns like New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, I think.
Yep. Utah,
all right.
Nevada.
So, and Nevada, okay. But then as soon as you go to Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, you're in just bighorns.
Yeah, just in Rockies is what we call them. Now, the southern part of Colorado might have a few deserts in there. Okay. But yeah, I guess the desert state, what we consider the desert states, it's primarily Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, California's got them also.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Froylan, thank you for being with us this morning.
You bet. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, folks, I hope y'all enjoyed this, got some information. It's all interesting. And I know everybody loves the Big Bend part of this world. And let's hope pray these boys have some luck, get the desert bighorns rejuvenated again. All right. This weekend's edition was also brought to us by the Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club for folks who don't have a country club. Now, go out, have a big weekend, have a lot of fun, enjoy yourself, be safe, and y'all just remember, pretty much any day is sure a good day to be out in the woods.